Arriving to occupy his pole position is Tim Sugden in that glorious McLaren F1 GTR. As you can imagine, machinery around today. A good crowd here at Donington Park. The pace car pulls off, and watch the red light up there on the left in the distance. We're waiting. Mustn't jump the start. You get a penalty for that. And the power kicks in. Look at the back end squirming about on that glorious Porsche GT1. But it is Tim Sugden who gets the break. Tiff Needell's in the Lister Storm in the black car there, slotting into third place. We're on board with Kurt Luby leading the GT2 championship. And a spinner on the inside. Chris Ward spins out. Up to Toppis comes the leader then. Tim Sugden swings it through the right-hander. That car, of course, well, he sits in the centre position now, having started from the pit lane. William Hewland is desperately trying to make up places. They've had terrible misfortune with this car. They almost seem to start every race from the back, or at least from the pits. Well, here we are back with the leaders. Here's Tiff Needell bringing the Newcastle United Lister Storm through. Ian Flux there in the other of the Listers. And while we think about Fluxy, well, there's only one place Chris Ward is headed, and that's to the pit lane. We're on board with Magnus Verlander in the number 0 car. Oh, diving to the inside there. He's following the leader. That's the leader there. Tim Sugden. Oh, and ahead of us, the 56 car of Philip Hopkins. He's squirmed off the circuit but recovers just about. Belinda also in amongst the traffic. This is the great thing about GT racing in the UK. We get to see these big cruising machines fighting it out. Oh, no. The Lister belonging to William Hewland, or in the hands of William Hewland, has gone pop. And that, sadly, is going to mean a retirement for them. Hopefully not too much oil and gunge put down on the circuit, because these cars all out there on slick tyres in these dry conditions. And the marshals run to assist William Hewland. No assistance needed for Ian Fluxy's on the inside here of Tiff Needell. And Fluxy will go through. That moves him up the slot as well. Well, Fluxy's really had to think about that, because it's very important for the team that the Newcastle United Lister Storm, in the hands of Tiff Needell and Julian Bailey, finishes as high up as possible. But I think Fluxy just thought, well, we've got to get on with this today, and he's now right behind Caroline Lucas. And well, Caroline had pretty much nowhere to go there through the old hairpin. Here's our leader though, Tim Sugden, the Yorkshireman, brings the McLaren through the Goddard chicane, and we're on board here with Magnus Verlander. All that power you've got to get down. It's a question of trying to ease it in. Well, we're into our first round of pit stops, and the first in is Tiff Needell in the Lister Storm. And he's out very quickly indeed. Will help his teammate in. Also in the pit lane, Jamie Campbell-Walter and Alex Portman swapping places, and they will leave the pit lane safely. So we've now got the ex-Tyrrell Grand Prix driver at the wheel of the Lister Storm that Tiff Needell has vacated, and we're on board here with the Chrysler Viper, a V10 engine, 700 brake horsepower. Some of these machines, $1 million of worth of kit. And some of that heading towards us now on the inside, the TVR Speed 12, a newly developed car for this year. And on the outside, Ian Flux still at the wheel of that Lister. Ooh, was he flopped there, or did he just wait his time? Perhaps the latter. Ian Astley removing his helmet. He's been replaced in the Lotus by Martin Kerner. Kerner just strapping himself in, and the team will want to make sure he's well and truly strapped in. We've seen some huge incidents in GT racing this year. Thankfully, everybody has emerged unscathed. Now, here's Ian Flux again. Must be due for him to come in, I would think, this time. Jake Ulrich will be waiting to take his position. There's Julian Bailey going through. And as he goes through, Ian Flux makes his way down the pit lane to where his crew are waiting. That's the McLaren team waiting. There in the helmet is Steve O'Rourke on the left-hand side. So plenty of activity. The race leader, I'm sure, due in any moment now. Steve O'Rourke will be thinking about what he's got to do in his stint. And here he comes towards us now. Tim Sugden then brings the McLaren F1 GTR in. And Sugden climbs out on the left. O'Rourke climbs in from the left. And also in is Magnus Verlander. So Verlander hands over to John Greasley. Greasley's going to be out first, and that's going to be a change of the lead. So the Porsche takes the lead. No wonder the McLaren pit crew look on to their left and see him go out. Well, we're back with the GT2 class leader. There in the red car on the inside, well, trying to get to the inside anyway, is Richard Dean now at the wheel of that, having swapped places with his teammate Kurt Luby. Listen for that Viper engine. Drops it down through the gearbox as Richard Dean harnessing all of that power as they swing right-handed through Redgate. Well, 8 litres of power he's got underneath his right foot, and he's using it very, very well indeed. And here's $1 million worth of car coming towards you. John Greasley at the wheel end of the Rue Coral Porsche, and he's coming towards the line to complete another lap as the race leader, having made that terrific pit stop. It just shows you how pit stops can work to your advantage. And we've got Graham Hathaway there in the four-car, squeezing out, is he? Valentine Lindsay gets pushed out wide. Well, it's not been a great day for that car. In fact, it looks like they're going to retire. That's the end of it. They had a spin on the opening lap, and we're in the pit lane with Colin Blowett and Nigel Greensall in the big bruising TBR. There is Colin talking to the crew. It looks like that's the end of their day. And whoa, into the gravel trap goes the Marcus of Bob Purvis and Thomas Erdos. Well, they're not going to get that out of there, so that's the end of their race, but it's not the end by any means for John Greasley. But look who's creeping up behind him. Steve O'Rourke is on a flyer. He runs out wide at the old hairpin. Very, very smooth, though, on the final exit of that underneath Starkey's Bridge, and he is tracking him down. Meantime, a second pit stop. Well, all sorts of dramas for the Newcastle United Lister Storm team. They have changed tyres yet again. Apparently some rubber stuck in the front end of that, and it meant that Julian Bailey was having great difficulty turning the wheel. That's the news from the pit lane, but we focus our attention as they come to the closing stages. Here is John Greasley into the Goddard chicane again, and Steve O'Rourke's going to be trying to be as late on the brakes as he possibly can, but I don't think he'll be able to do it this time. John Greasley sees the checkered flag raised and lowered in his favour. He takes the victory, but by the slightest of margins in GT racing terms, from Steve O'Rourke and Tim Sugden's McLaren. And that's a great drive by John Greasley. Let's also give credit to the first stint by Magnus Ballender, but also across the line and taking yet another victory in GT2, Kurt Luby and Richard Dean. They finish in 6th place overall, but there is confirmation of Greasley and Valinda's win from Sugden and O'Rourke. But we've already had the lottery